I never even thought about the horizon to the eye level thing was a big deal. I mean, I never thought about it. But from the first day in formation training, you know, you're...
Today, Ben and I are talking with Mike, and Mike's call sign is Cujo, and Mike is an F-16 fighter pilot, retired, and he flew F-16s for many years, and he is the guy that Ben initially made the video about a while back, and he has decided that he wanted to go public and come out, visual, because, well, I'll let him tell that story here in a little bit. But we're really glad that he has come out with us, and Mike, it's really great to have you on Globebusters. This is fabulous.
Well, geez, I really appreciate it. You guys are have been my television for the last some years, and it's like I'm talking to celebrities. So I'm a little nervous, like a little girl. Don't make fun of me.
Okay. We'll try and keep that mellow. So obviously you've already, you've been in it for a while. You figured it out a few years ago, and you decided recently that you wanted to go public, because you were kind of encouraging doctors, to speak out about what they know about the current pandemic, and you decided that who were you to advise them to do that if you weren't going to take steps in the same direction? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, thanks for keeping that YouTube friendly for me, because I may not have been able to do it.
No problem.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would be a really big hypocrite if I'm trying to hold them to task because they don't want to blow up their gig. My gig's kind of gone and behind me. There's nothing you guys can take and get me fired from. So there you have it. But yeah, it's that's part of what's held me back was that my wife's a professional with the military as well. She's done almost 40 years and is retiring soon. So I wanted to start talking about this because there's just too many lies in the world now. It just seems like everything is deceit, and it gets overwhelming. And one of the biggest things that have been holding me back, I was talking about all the brotherhood and that from my squadron days in the past. One of the main things that you worry about as a fighter pilot is not dying or anything else. It's looking bad in front of your buds, or getting one of them killed because you didn't do something that you were supposed to do, or there's a lot of I don't know, I can't think of the word now, but you understand what I mean. It's you take that very seriously.
Yeah, they're like family.
Take it very, yeah, exactly right. And I don't want to look any of those guys look at me and say, "Geez, what happened to Cujo?" But I will tell you that those guys, to the man, were the smartest people I've ever known. And all they have to do is go down the road that I went down, and they're going to be sitting on this side of the screen as well, because it's obvious. But the reason you don't ever look into it when you're in the moment is because you just figure the Earth is just vast. You don't see curvature because it's huge, right? So you don't ever think to question it. I remember, I don't know, it was probably 2015. I don't know when the first basketball player or some sports figure came out and said, "Oh, the Earth is flat." And I'm like, oh my God. Well, I had a little bit of time. I'm like, why that? So I start to do a little research, right? And I go, and guess what comes up? Flat Earth Society on the top thing. I read that. I go, I'm freaking more on these basketball players, right? So about a year later, one of my daughters actually said, "Dad, have you looked into Flat Earth at all?" And I'm like, "Come on, no." And she's like, "Oh, there's some pretty compelling stuff. I think you might be interested." And again, I had some time, so I started digging into it, and actually found, I'm pretty sure I started with Taboo Conspiracy stuff and seeing it too far and those things, and Antarctica really, that your video about Antarctica's closed or whatever, that was a big one for me too. But the see too far, and I never even thought to wonder what the curvature formula is, right? 8 inches per mile squared, that ain't vast, man. The distances that we were working would have made a huge difference in my visual and radar presentations on a day-to-day basis. I know that it would have. And, I just can't hop back 20 years and put it to the test. I wish I knew then what I know now. And actually, some of my goals about this is hoping that some young fighter pilot will go, I'm going to check out what that old bastard says and go out and do what I'm going to describe to you guys in a minute to put it to the test. I hope it happens, but, well, you guys aren't going to look at this. They're going to Google it and look at Flat Earth Society.
Exactly, and that's exactly it.
Like
We've said that so many times to people, that the Flat Earth Society is the first line that the alphabet agencies have put out there to draw people to them, and of course then they tell them a story that's utterly absurd. And then the reaction is that people say, this is crazy, they walk away from it, they do exactly what you did. So when they got you to go to the Flat Earth Society, and you walked away shaking your head going, these people are nuts, I mean, they did their job, right? So it's cool that your daughter suggested that to you, and it also tells me that, you think a lot about what your daughter thinks. You obviously have a lot of confidence in your daughter. And,
I tell you what, man, just to put this out there, I've been so very blessed with all of my children that haven't been into drugs or any of the crap that a lot of people have to deal with. And my youngest now is like 32 or 33. You never keep that stuff straight, right? But I'm 60, and it's adult kids. You think your kids are fun when they're at a young age, but adult kids are even more fun. I just love it. Yeah, well, listen, some of them think I'm maybe a little bit crazy, but most of them are going, maybe true, I don't care. That sort of thing.
That's a common one, that I don't care.
It's common,
I don't understand it, because for me it's like, it means everything. I mean, we've been lied to since we were born. To me, it's not, I don't care. That's like, one of those things that we got to tell everybody.
I think there's an element of laziness in that statement, right? I don't care because I'm not going to go digging and looking into that. I'll listen to you and laugh, kind of thing. But, my wife is buying into it, and she's been in places. I mean, I am definitely not a whistleblower because I don't have any more information about this than you do. No fighter pilot does, except maybe the ones that some of my buds that made very high rank and
have a security clearance for it. Yes.
Yeah, that maybe no. So,
and there are people in those positions that that have that security clearance, because obviously there are people that must know.
They have to know.
Yeah.
The whole space thing, and I don't know. Those are the things that make it hard for me, because
I understand.
It's obvious that we see too far, and the 8 inches per mile squared thing is crazy. You want me to get into the radar stuff now? The whole reason I got into it, or you got some other question?
Yeah, and I want to cover a couple other things really quick first, and I'll let you kind of go
before I put everybody to sleep.
No, not at all. There's a lot of there's a lot of areas. I have to say that Mike showed us his me room, or is that what you called it? Your me room?
I love me room. Every fighter pilot has one. So that gives me credibility amongst fighter pilots right there. They know I'm not lying. I really am one because I got a me room.
Yeah, and as you can see behind him there, he's got the F-16 things on the wall, and all around him. He showed us earlier all of his, medals and awards and training and squadron information and aircraft. I mean, everything. Wow, what a career you've had. It's absolutely amazing.
Would you mind
secretly, I
covering
would
some of
have
that?
paid them.
Would you mind covering some of your education and training?
Yeah. Well, in civilian, kind of like a corporate pilot or something like that. I wanted to fly. I've been flying since I got my license on my 16th birthday, so I've been flying for literally as long as I could have. I was blessed with that at a young age, but ROTC in college, there's a 2-year program and a 4-year program. I had longer hair back then. I almost said back in the day, but I didn't say it. That would be
I'm watching you.
Anyway, 2-year program, 4-year program, and I'm like, I'll take the 2-year program. Why would you do 4 if you can get it done in 2? Well, I was talking to my advisor one day, and he goes, it was like in the end of the first semester, what do you want to do, kind of thing. Well, I need to get in the Air Force and get hours so I can be a pilot, right? So he goes, why aren't you enrolled in that? I'm like, well, 2-year program. No, you're not going to get a slot unless you get over there and beg to let you in on the second semester. So I got in late, and miraculously I got a pilot slot, which, there were only, I don't know, 15 of us that had them out of my college that year. But I went off to pilot training. Pilot training was a year long, called UPT, undergraduate pilot training. In the early 80s, I don't want to narrow it down to the year because then people can look it up, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
They try to be as
try.
vague as possible.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll try to be as vague as possible. But I was fortunate enough to do well enough to get a fighter out of there. We only had, I don't know, six or so fighter assignments out of 30 people. So I got a fighter and got my first choice. I got an A-10. So I flew A-10s at a very beautiful location, stateside. And did that for 3 years, and then ended up flying OB-10s, which is, you get a bad deal for a good deal kind of thing. The Air Force always does that to you. Bob, you probably remember, here's a shiny thing, but you got to do this thing first, right?
Oh, yeah.
I went and did OB-10s, but I loved it. I was a forward air controller, and so close air support was a big thing to me, and I learned so much. Even though the top speed on the OB-10 is like the actual airframe speed is 350, but you can't get anywhere near that, even straight downhill. But anyway, from there I got my good deal. I got my F-16 out of there, and I did that for 12 years, mostly in Europe. But one assignment, my last assignment, was back here in the States at an exercise facility where I got to fly every block and model of the airplane. It was pretty awesome.
Wow, that is incredible.
But that's it.
Did you mention you have actually been in combat situations as well?
I had the opportunity to fly in combat. I have about somewhere in the neighborhood of 400 hours in combat. Had some surface to air missiles shot at me, but it's kind of a funny story where, disciplined, trained fighter pilots, right? And you would, in training, it's always, if a surface to air missile comes up, or simulator or whatever, you're very direct on the radio, like, Cujo 1's defending Sam right 2 o'clock, bearing 045, in the real situation, you get on the radio and sound like a little girl and yell, Sam! I'm a big buster. Every time I talk to him, he yells, Sam! But, yeah, not my coolest moment ever. In every situation, you want to sound like calm, collected on the radio, right? So, you got an engine on fire, you're supposed to just go, yeah, got an engine on fire, I'll be ejecting here shortly.
I don't know how I would report.
You guys have to pull in the things on me, I'll get on my tangent, I'm old.
That's okay. I have no idea how I would report like a sidewinder coming up my 6.
Yeah. Well, this was an SA-6, and I was a little nervous about it, but I got even later. That's a story for another day.
All right, beautiful. So, you've been looking into this for a while, and you told me earlier you started with Ben stuff, and then you came across Jaron and then Globebusters, and that was awesome to hear. is amazing because so many people are afraid to speak out because of the consequences and what they'll try to do to you. You have people like Wolfie 6020 out there and George Nutsack. These people will try and go after people's careers, and it's horrible what they try to do. So I have to say it's very commendable. It's very brave, and you've already kind of gotten a taste of that with Wolfie 6020, and you've had some interactions with him. And I'm just curious. You mentioned to me earlier that he gave you a quiz. He gave you his airline pilot quiz. He thinks he knows everything. When you answered the question, and then he came back and then accused you of simply looking it up. And it's like, well, geez, anybody could have looked it up. I answered his questions right, too, but that didn't stop him from,
There's no way with those guys, right? They're going to try to, debunked in 2 minutes. And by the time I left Ben's chat on that video, I'm like, I'm just out of here. And then, of course, because I disappeared, it's, obvious he was not whatever. I'm not, in my previous life, it was rare that my integrity would be called into question. So I didn't even really consider that kind of thing. I should have. I don't believe everything I see on the internet either, but, whatever. But, yeah, Woofy 911 369, whatever his name is.
Yeah. Well,
he's
like I said,
so.
he is. He is a paid operative. He's bragged about it. And nobody can stand him. He's a liar to the nth degree. And, he's the guy that they call in when they really think they've got a problem, right? And why they would, we've had our interactions with him as well, especially recently with the second son thing. And I just thought it was ironic that they would call him in. It's like, what? Like this airline pilot is supposedly a expert on astronomy now, and and the accusations that he comes up with are just crazy. So I wouldn't think too much about him, and people are going to look at you and they're going to judge you on your own merits and what they think of you, the man, and not what Wolfie says, because Wolfie has pretty much shown his hand in what he is and who he is, and that's not a good person at all.
Well, I appreciate that, Bob, but like I said, there's no way to argue with those guys because any question you answer, you just look it up on the internet and he's not a real pilot, whatever. It's not like it's that special, I was just a pilot that kind of started thinking about 8 inches per mile square ain't that big.
Yeah, and it's funny though that you say that because I didn't think that much of it either, and I got my pilot's license back in 1978 also, and it was like, people think that because you're a pilot, you have this magical knowing, right? About how all the curvature of the world works, and it's like, no, they never teach you about that in any part of flight training. In fact, everything they do teach you is directly related to a flat stationary Earth, from your textbooks, which literally come out and state that, to your first days in your aircraft with your flight instructor, and he says, see that point on the horizon out there? Pick that point and you fly to it, and you will fly a straight and level flight, and it's that simple.
It is, and I remember, I'm talking 40 years ago, I remember, like, the first day in academics at UPT, it was reading that statement in the book is, like, this all assumes a rigid aircraft, flying on a stationary flat Earth, and you're like, well, why would they do that? And then my mind goes to, well, the other stuff would just be too complicated in calculations, and they can't teach that to dumb pilots, right? So that's kind of what I thought, and I forgot about it, and that was that.
Yeah, it's easy to do that, but and then when you finally do realize it, you think about all the things from flight planning, whenever you set up the navigation to go anywhere, it's all based on the flat Earth.
I never even thought about the horizon to the eye level thing was a big deal. I never thought about it, but from the first day in formation training, you're looking at the other airplane, and your instructor goes, if he's above the horizon, you're below him. If he's below the horizon, you're above him. If he's on the horizon, you're level. 100% fact all the time. Pitch outs and rejoins. We used to do these exercises where you're flying together, and the flight lead would give you the pitch out signal, and you'd pitch out. You do a big 180 degree, 360 degree turn, come back at 6 o'clock, and then he'd go into a turn and rock you in for a rejoin, right? Rocking his wings means come join close with me. And fighter pilots talk with their hands, so that's more proof right there. Okay. Sorry. But, the technique was put the guy about a fist above the horizon, get up on the wing line, and drive in level, so that if you overshoot under him or behind him, right? And only whenever you were obviously controlled and going to move in, then you come up to his level, right?
Right.
That's basics, it's just not true, and all these other guys were piling on, and I got really upset.
Yeah. Like
I'm glad to have that behind me. I'm not going to mention them one more time, Bob. That's another thing.
Okay.
That's another dollar.
Screw Woofy. I'm down with that. That's fine.
All right.
Hey, Mike, do you mind explaining a little bit further for someone who might not understand what that means about the horizon? The fact that if a plane was above the horizon, they would be above you, or below, and why this affects why it's important with respect to the flat Earth.
I never considered even about flat Earth, right? I mean, it was just a plain fact for us was if he is on the horizon, then you are level with him. If he is above the horizon, then you've got the horizon down there. That's level. He's above you if he's above the horizon, and if he's below, it's below. I mean, it's that simple. And obviously, the implications on a flat Earth, which I never thought of until. Really, I never thought of it until I was getting all that crap from Woofy, mark a dollar. But I never even really considered that. It's not something I'd come across in any of the stuff that have been watching. But you get to thinking about it and go, well, geez, yeah, if you go up above a ball, the horizon's going to be down there. If you go up above a big, vast, flat Earth, then it's going to stay at eye level because of perspective.
It does, that's right. And the thing that the Globers do not seem to understand about that is that, they will go up higher and higher and higher. And obviously, if there was a horizon, it would have to be below you, right? But they will say because they can actually look down and see the horizon once you get up past a certain height, that proves that the Earth is curved. But what they don't seem to understand is that there is a limit to your vision.
It's a limit to your vision. Right.
They are incapable of understanding that.
Go on the internet and find HUD video where the horizon line looks like it's above a horizon, but it's not the horizon. It's like where the visibility ends here, but the horizon
it's
actually
the apparent horizon.
Out. Right? It's like a horizon or whatever.
And
you can find those videos all day, but
yeah, and that's the funny thing. Nowadays, it used to be 5 years ago we were arguing against the Globers, and they were saying that you can't see past this geometric horizon, right? Which of course would be the mathematical place where the Earth meets the sky. And now they're saying that it doesn't even exist. You can't see that.
Yeah, I can't follow that logic. I've watched those things and I try to piece that together, and I'm like, I can't follow that logic because I know from thousands of hours of experience that the horizon is your level. I mean, it's at eye level. It's your level. Anything above it is above you. Anything below it is below you. I mean, that's fact. And any of my old buds that are watching this will go, yeah, Cujo was right about that one. Let me look that up.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I think that's a foregone conclusion. The Ballers, they have to say stuff like that because, once the Black Swan came out, and I assume you're familiar with the Black Swan.
Yeah.
That pretty much annihilated the idea of any geometrical horizon because there simply isn't one, and it is apparent, and that's what the flat earthers have always said. And that apparent horizon, like I said, when you get up to 40, 30, 40, 50,000 feet, there will be a slight drop in the apparent horizon, but that is only because of the limitations of your visibility. And they can't comprehend that. But more importantly, as a fighter pilot, you depend on that type of observation. When you are like in combat, you have like a high-speed closure situation where you're coming together, you said it sometimes around 1,500 plus miles per hour, you better be able to make a snap decision, not only visually, but on your instruments as well, to be able to determine where that combatant is coming from. Yes?
Well, and two, if you get into a rolling, dogfight or whatever, you're dependent on the horizon. You're not looking inside, especially if you're defensive. You're looking outside and knowing, if he's above you, if he's below you, if he's above you, he's got more energy than you do, right? If you're at the same speed, he's got more energy because he can exchange his altitude for
speed.
Yes. For speed. So, I mean, it's just a fact. It's just a fact. That's why I never even considered it like a thing, but apparently it's a thing.
So, that was one of the videos, and of course, Ben, I don't know if you saw it, but I'm sure you did, when he played your video, he actually ran an instructional video about the particular piece of equipment that you were using when you were scanning with the radar. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Well, I don't know if I know exactly your question.
The APG-68?
Yeah, APG-65.
APG-68. Yeah, sorry, I didn't know the.
Yeah, I can tell you how that works. Not like from a beeps and squeaks level, but from.
I can tell you that part of it.
Yeah, right.
That part of it. Yes. I'm the radar guy.
Well, this radar on the Viper is it's got a huge scan volume, right? Plus or minus 60 of the nose, left and right, and 4 bars up and down. They call it the plus or minus 64 bar or plus or minus 32 bar, whatever, right? So these 4 bars are the scanning bars, and I'm pretty sure, but I would have to. This is 20, even like my training in F-16 was over 30 years ago. So take some of this with a grain of salt, but I'm pretty sure that your radar, you can see my fingers, right? Your radar is like a flashlight beam, right?
Yes.
It radiates out.
It's slightly divergent.
I guess in a cone, or really in Doppler radars, it's more like a square, maybe. But at any rate, it's like this. And I think this is 30 degrees, right? So 4 bar would be, it starts up here, 60 degrees to the left, scans over, 60 degrees to the right, drops down 1 bar, which would be 30 degrees, right? Scans back, so the bottom is basically at your nose, it's level if you had the L stroke in the notch in the center. It scans back. So you've got the upper 60 degrees covered, right? To twice at 30 degrees. Then it drops down another 30, scans back, all the way back over to right 60. Then it drops down again, scans back to drop that other 60 degrees. So I'm pretty sure it's 120 degrees this way and 120 degrees this way. This way, I'm not positive about, but I'm almost positive. Okay, so that's a huge search volume, right? That's, if you go, and there's ranges that you set in the radar. You can set it at 10, you can set it at 20, you can set it at 40, you can set it at 80. It even goes out farther than that. I think 120, but it may have been 110. I don't recall exactly, right? But we typically ran it out at 40 miles because being careful what I say, a fighter-sized target is probably not going to show up beyond the 40-mile range, okay? Just suffice it to say that. So we pretty much ran, if you're just fully scanning, not really going to fight, you're running plus or minus 64 bar, both you and your wingman, and the other element if you've got a warship, right? Everybody's around that, just keeping it wide open. When you're going into a fight, though, you're like training fights. I never was in an air-to-air engagement in combat. They never came up to fight us. I did kill some MiGs on the ground, though, in a place that dropped bombs on them. Anyway, that's beside the point as well. I go off on tangents, man. You gotta reel me in.
That's okay. Hey, we like hearing it. You just, we'll reel you in if you get too far out. No problem.
So typically,